you like clear, do like Palo Santo or clear the energy in your office or home?
Pretty frequently.
Yeah.
Yeah, my bedroom almost nightly.
Oh wow.
The whole house, a bit more rarely. Proud bien de todos, brother. Thank you. There we go. We said that in unison. Like we were practicing.
Now you know we're aligned.
That's our thing we do.
Have you jumped out of a plane?
No, I would though. I would.
Oh, yes, bro. We got to jump out of a plane.
Right, let's do it.
We just pulled up to Fix. We're gonna be going in and meeting up with Aubrey Marcus. Now this is a unique situation. For the first time ever, he's opened up about how he's feeling, because this is where his fiance is with her boyfriend. They're in this open relationship. It's the first time they've ever been all together. And you can kind of see the little bit of like unease and fear. One thing I learned about Aubrey is he likes to put himself in the uncertain, in the uncomfortable, in the hard situations, because he probably knows that's where his growth is. Go in, check it out, see what it's gonna be like.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas,
Love you guys.
We arrived early before Aubrey. Whitney and her boyfriend were the first ones to arrive. Whitney is wearing the red Santa outfit. To the right of her is her boyfriend. I noticed Whitney was sitting at the edge of the table. Would Aubrey be sitting next to them? Would they be talking to each other tonight? I grew anxiously anticipating Aubrey's arrival. How would they handle this situation?
Yes. Look, that's a dope one. That's a dope one.
Whitney greeted Aubrey with a pop kiss to the lips while her boyfriend stood back.
See you again.
I know. Because it had terrible reviews and all that.
They sat next to each other. For an instant, it's like they are the only two people in the room and nothing else matters.
Gerard, you're a bad motherfucker. I met you like a few weeks ago, man. It's awesome to meet someone. I mean, for those of you who don't know, Gerard started out in the game, like the real game, like hustling, like slanging dope, like that game, the street game, and crushed it. But he had a moment. He had a moment where the universe gave him a warning, where there was lights flashing behind him when he was in a car that would have put him in jail for a long time. And he looked in his rear view and he looked at those lights. Lights weren't for him, but that message was for him. And at that moment, he decided, I'm not doing this anymore. Because the universe, in co-conspiracy with our souls, is here to guide us. And it will give us messages, and it will give us signals. And if we're ready to listen, we can avoid the catastrophic falls. If we listen. Booyah. Listen. This is a man who listened. Got rid of that game, started new games, millions of dollars, massive success, and now the dedication to help other people, not only on that path, but on a much greater path. So I appreciate you, brother.
Tonight is also the last night that Aubrey will be in Austin. Tomorrow he is leaving on a 30-day sabbatical. He got up in front of the room and gave one of the most inspiring speeches I've ever witnessed. He expressed his gratitude and love to each person in the room individually, including myself. Unfortunately, the cameras weren't filming when he addressed Whitney and her boyfriend, but I was able to capture the audio.
My life partner, I love. I couldn't imagine having spent a journey with someone other than you over the last 7 years. So beautiful. Never would I have gotten to even close to where I am now. Nor experienced the joy and magic and pleasure and fun with anybody but you. And any of the hardship, any of the pain, any of the struggle, that it's so been worth it. So been worth it. And Ricky, man, look, your presence has caused me to really reconcile and deal with some of the deepest stuff at the roots of my delusions and the roots of my fears. And you know what that is, man? It's a blessing. It's a blessing, man. And like, I can't express enough gratitude for that, because it's not like you intentionally tried to do it or that was the plan or whatever, but that was the effect. So no, like, just know, regardless of whatever, like, your presence, not only for me, but also for Whit. You know, a heart whose flower blooms in trust, a heart whose flower blooms in the constant application and steady application of love and fun. Like, you're that dude, man. And as much as I get up, like, you're like the best. Dr. Dan.
Dr. Dan!
When I was in that ayahuasca ceremony, and all the villains of the world, all the greed, all the jealousy, all the separation, all the delusion, all the fear were outside the door. And I was calling on my allies, who's here to fight these villains, like Cyrano in his final death scene. You were the first to smile at me and say, to the end, brother. And I know that. I know that. But I saw you. I saw you through all those and little moments. And I called you forward into this. And I don't know if you knew then, and of course I didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know what we were doing either, but there was a connection there. And I was able to see deeper into you. And the person that I knew then, though, to the person I know now, wow. It's just fucking beautiful. I'm so grateful to be reunited with you on this path. In spirit, emotion, and physicality as well. I love you, dude. That was a really long tell. I love you all so much, and I'll be thinking about you so much in my time abroad, and trying to continue my own path of looking deep inside, acknowledging what's there, acknowledging all the shadows, all the light, and standing there for you guys as a lighthouse, as a beacon, as someone who needs to sometimes lean on your shoulders, which I've leaned on all your shoulders before, and as sometimes someone who can lead with armor gleaming, a wicked smile in my eye, a little laughter in my heart. Whatever my tribe needs, that's my vow. Whatever the world needs.
Dan was right. Mic drop on 1,000 right there.
Fucking love you, man.
Love you all. Cheers. Love you all. Love everyone. Love you all. Cheers.
Really. I've never met a heart like yours, man. Like, and I know everyone has a unique heart. I've never met a heart like yours, bro. Ever. I've never met a man like you, man. Your heart is so beautiful. So beautiful. It's so beautiful. And I'm honored. I'm so honored to be here. So thank you on behalf of like Jeff and man. It just, I'm so grateful to be in the presence of all of your tribe, and I feel so blessed that God has been able to put me in this position to meet all of you, and Aubrey, like for you, just to be so open, like just open-hearted to bring me into your world, and just to see, man, the way that everything flows, man. It's so beautiful, man. So beautiful. It's like I'm speechless, you know. It's really special.
and he's never given up.
Thank you, bro.
Tomorrow morning is finally the day I get to sit down for 1 full hour to interview Aubrey. Now that I've spent a full day with him, I feel ready to dive deep into Aubrey's story. He agreed to talk about anything: open relationships, spirituality, plant medicines, the untold story of Onnit's rise to the top, business strategies, and human body optimization.
One of the things that fascinates me is your love life. You know, with everybody that I'm... Yeah, for sure. I mean, your love life has opened me up, man, to really think about what it means to have a loving relationship with someone else.
One of the reasons I got into open relationship was because of just the natural tendency and desire for that variety of experience, not only sexually, but to get to know someone intimately, right? So it's like, yeah, open relationship, that sounds like a good idea, and philosophically I think I can handle it, and I understand that love is abundant and people like variety, so if my partner likes variety, I like variety, maybe we'll try this. But going in for just the sex or just the new experience to try something else, I really liken it, my favorite analogy is saying that's like toasting bread by walking into a burning house and holding a piece in your hand,
man.
right? That's going into open relationship for the sex.
Wow.
Because what you're really gonna be doing is you're gonna be lighting a fire to all of your core validations, all of your insecurities, everything that you're using as a reflection to look back on yourself and find yourself worthy of love. That's what's all gonna come up. And it's going to be hard. And yes, there's going to be amazing bliss and amazing variety and amazing joy. The bread will get toasted as you go through the burning house and you will get to eat it. But nonetheless, it's a very, very challenging path. But it's also a great teacher. The most challenging things are often the things that you learn the most from. And what it's really taught me, it's taught me to love without possession, to love without fear. The night that you're referring to was actually last night, and that last night was the last night that I would see Whitney before she spends a month with her boyfriend and I go away on my own sabbatical and I won't see her and I won't talk to her. And there is no assurance that when we come back that she won't want to just be with him or won't want to experience something else. We don't have a contract.
Right.
We don't have a contract that says, you have to be this way. No, go experience life. If you love that more, it'll hurt, but I'll support you because I'm dedicated to you as a human being, as if you were myself. Loving you as if you were myself and wanting the very best for you, just as you would any best friend. So it's shifting the idea from being I need this from you because it makes me feel this certain way to no, I love you and I want the very best for you. And if that's with me, amazing. And if that's with me and somebody, amazing. And if that's with just somebody else, that's amazing too, because I love you so much that I just want you to experience the full fruition of what is capable for you. And I, give you the invitation to love me the same way. And it just kind of recalibrates what the core contract is in a relationship, which is I love you so much, I want the best for you. And if both of you are truly saying that, then you can make all of the rules and agreements that'll help bring that to fruition.
Do you think that you have to be happy with yourself and love yourself to a certain point in order for you to have even a successful loving relationship, to love that other person in that way? Do you think you have to go through that own journey first? Or do you think that by actually challenging yourself to do this will allow you to to go into that fear, and therefore it's a healthy thing that will allow you to then figure out what is holding you back from loving yourself?
Both. I think you have to have enough. You have to have enough that it won't throw you into complete catastrophe, right? Can you go to a squat rack and lift weights on the rack? Well, yeah, if your knees are healthy and your body's at least healthy enough to do the movement, then the squatting will actually make you stronger, right? But if you got a broken back, do not get underneath the squat bar, right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So you have to have enough self-love that you're healthy enough to allow a little pressure. And if you're healthy enough for the pressure, then the pressure will make you stronger. So it'll facilitate you on the path. So it's just a matter of assessing all right, I think I'm good enough to add a little stress, because it will add stress. However cool you think you are with the person you love the most sleeping with somebody else, you're
Just
probably
as
not,
much as like the
you're probably
argument-
not cool with it. We're still looking for validations because we're still feeling these temporary rejections. That's why breakups are so hard, because someone is saying, I don't love you enough, and then you're looking through their eyes and saying, I'm not worthy of love enough, obviously, and then you love yourself less, and then you try to find somebody else on the rebound to validate your love and sustain you again. But
I've been through that.
This is a process of saying like, okay, I got to take all of the mirrors that I have from you and actually see myself truly, and just see that if you're choosing something else, it's not because of deficiency in me, it's just because that's going to give you whatever lesson or whatever experience that is going to be best for you. It has nothing to do with me, you know, because it's just a choice of preference. Like the chef doesn't get mad when you order the pork chop versus the steak chop. It's just like, cool, that's what that person was feeling that point.
You know, whether someone goes into an open relationship or not, what is the core lesson that you really can offer someone watching this that will help them on their journey of seeking love?
Communicate truth. Like, it doesn't matter what you do with your body. Like, cool. Like, have whatever rules around what you're going to do with your body, because that is a very triggering thing, you know. But if you're not communicating truthfully with your partner about your fears, about your anxieties, about your hopes, about your fantasies, about everything, then you're not going to be in a state of love. If you're holding something back, that's going to be a barrier that's going to prevent you from even feeling that other person at all. So you're going to be stuck in this state of misery with this, you know, concrete wall in between the actual true expression, the true gnosis of each other, the true experience of each other's love, unless you at least express your truth. And monogamy can be beautiful, and I think it should be approached like, hey, I love you so much, and the place that we're at and what we're doing, let's give each other the gift of monogamy. But we'll express our feelings and our thoughts, and we'll talk about everything, but we're going to make this commitment to each other, and it's going to be beautiful. And then, hell yeah, amazing. You know, but don't lie and just say, well, it's assumed, and oh no, I wouldn't think about anybody else, honey. I'm that type of human that's perfectly satisfied with one person the rest of my life, and I've never even thought about another thing, and nor do I ever fantasize about anything. Like, just be honest, just be truthful, get to that place of truth, and then decide whatever you want as far as the agreements about who you're going to see and what you're going to do. But if you get to truth, then you can get to love.
What is your, you know, kind of your thought process on spirituality versus religion, and someone who I look up to who has been practicing mindfulness and spirituality for as long as you have, and seeing how that's made you such a phenomenal leader for yourself, and then ultimately that's just overflowed into your relationships, into your business, into your life.
I think spirit has always been this thing that we've externalized. We've said, okay, spirit, yeah, it's up there in the heavens. Oh, spirit, oh, that's the thing that happens when you die, right? And we've forgotten that spirit is with us constantly, always, 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 and around us always. And all of these walls that we put to confine it, like, okay, yeah, spirit's going to be in the church with these doors. Well, open the doors, and what's outside there? More spirit, more God. It's everything. It's all around us. It's within people. It's within the planet. It's within all of the things around us. And when you start to be able to not only conceptualize that, but experience it, but to really feel that, to have your heart pour open and be able to find the divine in a forest or on a mountain or in a city or with your friend or someone you love, and see and feel spirit within yourself and all around you, that shifts your perspective. And then you realize that it isn't something that you have to externalize. It's something that you're co-participating in, that you're all just a different facet of this same infinite diamond that you can call God. The Greeks call the word gnosis, G-N-O-S-I-S. And it's a knowing that extends beyond a cognitive knowing. It's a knowing of the intercourse with the idea. It's something where you no longer just have this conceptual, mental, cerebral, cognitive concept that you kind of think makes sense, but you feel it. It's expressed throughout your whole body. So it's a funny thing when you have that, because you can't necessarily explain that. No. You know, like, so when I talk to someone like, and I say, I know God, and they're like, shut up, what do you mean? It's like, well, I've
I felt God within me and within the nature around me and within every single other human being. I've felt and experienced that. And they're like, all right, whatever. But then through whatever practice that they may have, through its meditation or ecstatic dance or breath work or yoga or nature or plant medicine, and they feel it, then they're like, oh, I know what you're talking about now. And that just changes the game. And I think adding that direct experiential contact, then you get to reread all of the mystical texts. You get to reread Jesus' teachings and understand like what he was saying when he's saying, I am the way, the truth, the light. Like you can read that and be like, that sounds interesting. But understanding that he was talking about all of us. He was talking about all of the consciousness that was available. And like reread that text, reread, the Tao Te Ching, reread Buddhist texts. Like once you've experienced it, then things start to like make sense.
Yeah.
And I think one of the challenges of religion is that we've forgotten that deep experiential knowing, gnosis, was at the core of these religious teachings. And then all of the business of religion kind of developed that kind of has separated us from that direct experiential teaching, because there's diamonds in all of the teachings, of all of the major world religions. They're all beautiful when you understand where they're at, but they can all also be distorted.
Yes. Yeah.
And so understanding that, there's a way to appreciate absolutely everything from every place of faith, but the first most important thing is an experiential feeling, something that you know.
Right.
And that's the place to start.
What would you say to those that are like, now that they're starting to have that awakening, that they want to go down maybe plant medicine?
Well, I think the first steps are the experiential practices that aren't plant-based. So like, don't go book your ayahuasca if you've never done any serious shamanic breath work. That's just using your breath, right? Like, and shamanic breath work is taking Wim Hof to an even further extreme where you're breathing for pretty much heavily for about 10, 15 minutes straight, set to music, doing a big breath hold and allowing that flush of air and oxygenation to alter your state of consciousness. Like, try that. Try sensory deprivation. Try yoga. Try ecstatic dance. Try some of these practices to just get you used to being in a non-ordinary state. And then if you are called to the plants, then there's the traditional route where you find a place like Spirit Quest Sanctuary or like Blue Morpho or like some of the places in Costa Rica that are offering medicine with thousands of years of lineage of tradition. That's definitely one way to go. But also on the horizon is the legal use of psychedelics.
Yes.
And some of that already exists. The Peyote Way Church is already offering that here indigenously in an indigenous plant to North America that's been used here for many, many years. Wow. So that's another opportunity. There's ayahuasca being offered in different legally, religiously sanctioned places around the country as well. So there's different opportunities, but I really encourage you to do your research and don't think just because someone's a shaman, that they have good intentions.
Right.
And that'd be like saying like, oh yeah, all jaguars are friendly. Any jaguar can go on stage with Siegfried and Roy and they won't eat their face. Like some jaguars will eat your face and some shamans do not have good intentions. It's not, they're a powerful being and some are dedicated to medicine, some are not, and some are mixed and some they're like people. So don't make any assumptions, do your research, find the place that you want to go. But I think the most reliable thing that's coming on the horizon is going to be the legalization of psilocybin.
He who is overly attached experiences fear and sorrow. For the root of all grief is attachment. Thus, one should discard attachment to be happy. Hear this quote?
Makes sense.
How would you attack deep grief? So much of the world right now is suffering. So much of the world right now is going through depression, mental states. Some of them have lost their most loved one, a child, a mother. Like, how, in your opinion, does someone tap into getting and overcoming such deep grief that they may be going through right now in their life?
One of the great Stoic sayings is memento mori, and that translates to remember that you're going to die, right? So there needs to be a bit of perspective, and that perspective contains the idea that there is an infinite part of yourself called conscious. I call it consciousness. You call it soul or spirit, But I never believed that before. I had no idea that such a thing actually existed. I was actually an atheist until I experienced, through my first vision quest, my consciousness in pure form as my body fell away and something else existed, that force that animates life, and I got to understand that I was that thing, and that thing would transcend my death. Okay, well, I understand that, and then I also understand that everything and all people that I know and touch and see are going to die as well. But their consciousness, as I have experienced, will remain as well. So it sets a perspective in which, okay, yeah, there may be some deep challenges that are going on right now. There may be some really hard things. But this is just your journey home. And home isn't here on this planet. Home is where your consciousness is. Home is the connection that you will experience when you leave the confines of this body. And so you just get to decide what you want to do on your way home, how you want to spend it. And the things that are the hardest, typically in hindsight, are the things that you're the most grateful for. All of that compression that comes from grief and comes from, the compression that comes from depression, that comes from the resistance, that comes from grief, that comes from all of this, is also what builds character and builds growth and builds the ability to connect with other people who are going through that. And then ultimately, though, everything that you're given, you got to give it back. It's just the nature of the game. We don't get to keep anything except for our spirit, which is us. So a combination of perspective and then that real stoic understanding that, everything that happens to you can happen for you if you shift your perspective and say, this is hard, but it's going to make me stronger.
Did you always vision having this, what it is today? Like, did you ever vision having a big company, having a huge headquarters, having a customer base all over the world?
I always knew that I wanted to be part of a large movement, be something that create something that was significant. So when you're a kid, you have no idea what that means, right? So it was like, well, there's the political aspect of it, but that never really seemed to grab my attention that much. I was more into the stories and the fantasy books and reading tales of Genghis Khan conquering all of Asia. And obviously, as you grow up, you realize, oh, he was kind of an asshole. He was throwing like plague bodies over the walls and like ruining towns and murdering people. And okay, that wasn't actually cool, but the idea of that kind of empire fantasy, this idea that you could go create new lands, and Alexander the Great, I was fascinated with these stories. But as you grow up, you realize those times, not only are they not cool, because you're actually taking away people's will and agency,
right,
hurting people, but that's not really how you create something significant. You create a movement or an idea. And so it pretty quickly became that as I started to get a little older, 10, 11, 12, 13, realizing like, okay. Obviously all of these fantasy books and all these history books are there, and that's cool, and I love these stories, but what do I really want to create? Well, I don't really have a strong draw to politics, so I want to create an idea. I want to create a philosophy. I want to create a movement. But I've always loved, whether it's team sports or anything, being a leader, being someone who will go out there, like Alexander the Great did, on the horse, Bucephalus, with the double-plumed helmet, saying, no, me first, like, come after me first. That natural instinct to be a leader and to be on the very front lines and to have the swell of people and ideas and energy, behind, pushing towards the same thing and being in service to all those. That was something that became incredibly attractive, but ultimately, then I derailed. I tried to start a marketing company. That was a partial success at best. I failed in a lot of other ventures. And, I was sitting there almost about to turn 30 in a deep depression because I felt like I've had all of this energy, these ideas. I've read these books. I've done this spiritual practice. And what do I have to show for it? Like nothing. Like I haven't been able to really find anything that I could really push all in on and make an impact with. And then now looking back, I realized I just wasn't ready. I wasn't the type of person that was ready to lead a movement like that. And ultimately, Onnit was able to come about, and I was able to push all of that passion and all of the love for self-improvement, which has been a constant thread my whole life. I mean, when you talk about like, what did you do this summer, you know, between when I was 15 and 16, like most kids will have a bunch of different things that they did. Well, I couldn't drive, so every time that I was home, I just practiced improving my juggling skills. Why? It didn't matter, but I was just like, well, at least I'll get better at something. You know, so this relentless drive to learn, to grow, to improve, to know, I was able to really funnel all of that into Onnit, which is this idea that you can be a little bit better tomorrow than you were today.
Right.
And that is the ethos and spirit of Onnit. And I think when you talk about creating a culture, creating a movement or an idea, it's because it's real. It's because I'm really that way. Like I show up here in these walls trying to be a little better today than I was yesterday, and trying to be a little better tomorrow than I am today. And the people around me, you know, like attracts like. So that energy has become this like centrifugal force. It has its own kind of gravitational orbit now. And so that the people who find affinity with that are drawn to it, and then it gets stronger, and then it gets stronger, and it gets stronger. And not that there haven't been outliers and people pushing the other direction, but like splinters, the body, when it's healthy, will push the splinters out naturally. And sometimes you have to terminate them, but a lot of times it's just been like an obvious thing, like, hey, we're creating something about making and, you know, giving the tools to help people be a little better version of themselves. So if you're not down with that yourself internally, and you're not down with offering that to the world, this just might not be the right fit for you.
Sheesh. I think that's like, I really feel that when I'm here. Like I actually, like I want to stay here longer, you know, just being here, I feel like I'm already like getting better, and I feel that like, you know, it really is ingrained and embodied in everybody that kind of touches, you know, you and touches, you know, this brand. I read though, like when you first had the idea, you were literally, like I talk about this concept. My father has said it to me my entire life. He said, hard work comes before the dream. Mm-hmm. So I feel like you had this dream, and I feel you visualized it when you're creating Onnit. But then I read that like you said, you were almost getting depressed and then you had the alpha brain. That was like, this was it. This was your last kind of like chance. Take me back to that moment that, you know, people see what it is now, but take me back to the beginning stages of what it was like to actually now, you know, build a real business around it.
Yeah, I mean, Onnit technically was founded earlier on the idea around hangover supplements, but that wasn't what Onnit is. That isn't anything that I just talked about. It was just, but that taught me how to put together nutritional ingredients with, you know, shown clinical efficacy to upregulate certain systems of the body. I was just targeting it to a very small niche of people who were drinking too much, because that's what I was doing. Guess what depressed people do? They drink too much.
Yeah.
You know, like that's
the outlet.
Typically what a lot of people, it's a form of escapism, and I was deeply in that, so I was trying to even still support my body through that. But I was also ready to make a transition myself and leave that part of myself behind. And with Alpha Brain, which is about cognitive function, that was the real pivot. And what was interesting is when Alpha Brain became the, you know, phenomenal success that it was, and really brought Onnit to that next level where the company was actually successful, because I was down, you know, we never raised a bunch of money. We had 2 kind of small investors, and we were down to our last penny. We were on net 30 for everything. We had nothing.
Was Joe Rogan involved at that time too?
No, he wasn't. He was just a friend.
Okay.
But he was part of the idea of the inception of Alpha Brain. But the partnership came from a discussion many months after actually even the launch. But I was going to be able to go on his show and talk about it because he was excited about it.
Yeah.
You know, he always talks about what he was excited about. So, and that's what propelled Onnit into it. But honestly, man, for the first 3 years, I was just looking for every way that this dream was going to crash and burn, because all I had known was failure in business. That's the only thing I know. I'd had no real success. I had successes on the basketball court. I had successes in some relationships and spiritual journeys and friendships, but not in business.
Right.
You know, I hadn't had any real successes there. So I was looking for all the ways that this was going to get snatched from me, that somehow, some way, this dream was going to be over in a flash. So I was preparing myself for the inevitable, what I felt like was the inevitable downfall of what I've created. And it was a highly stressful period where I wouldn't allow myself to enjoy it, because I was afraid if I enjoy it too much, it's just going to hurt so much more when it gets taken away from me. And, you know, I wish I would have had the mindset that I do now, that everything is taken away from you by life. everything you were given, every gift that you ever received, the touch of a lover, the hug of a friend, the success of your business, like time takes all that away with death. You know, anything that you've built in your identity. So the practice of loving in spite of a potential demise, or even knowing that there's an inevitable demise, like the art of life is to love through all that process. And you know, that's something that I've had to learn, that, you know, you have to accept all possibilities as there, trust yourself to handle any kind of situation that comes up, and enjoy the process. But you look at me 2011 to 2014, and it was mostly like, oh, can I trust this? Can I trust this? Can I trust this? You know, that was the kind of what was going through my head. In the meantime, just working as hard as I could, day and night, every thought, every idea, every moment I could spend focusing on how to build this into what my heart knew that it could be.
Did you have the self-awareness then that you do now? Like, what was your team even like back then to even know like what role you would play? Or were you kind of the, I'm going to be the jack of all trades for this company, and you had your hands in every little thing, and you had maybe one or two people besides you packaging it all yourself? Like, what was that like in those initial stages?
It started with just generalists, like a couple generalists that I could trust to show up and just do a few general tasks that I could, and I was the ultimate generalist myself, just doing as many different things as I possibly could. And then there was other people doing many, many different things. And eventually, you know, generalism gives way to specialism. And that's been the journey from going from 3 employees and 500 square feet to 190 employees and to, you know, I don't even know how many square feet, 80,000 or whatever we have between all our warehouse and everything like that. So. But as you grow, people get more and more specialized, and the quality of who you're able to attract and the energy that you've put out that's going to attract like-minded individuals just gets stronger.
What would you say to yourself, to the Aubrey that was starting this company, from what you know now then? Like the Aubrey that's like year 1, year 2, that has this dream, that's stressed out, that thinks it's gonna be taken from him, that may have some of that doubt inside. Like, what would you say to that Aubrey, knowing what you know now?
I would just want to give him a big old hug and tell him it's going to be okay, you know, and just encourage the old Aubrey to enjoy the process, because I was doing the work. I was thinking about everything I could, but there's a way to do all the work, think about all the potential downfalls, be in that CEO mindset where you're looking for all the landmines and lightning bolts and all the allies and all the things. But do it without carrying that weight on your chest and that weight on your shoulders, and just do it with a smile and with a little bit more faith. But then again, you know, I needed to learn.
Yeah.
I needed to learn how to do it the other way so that I could appreciate doing it a different way. And I'm still learning that. I'm still learning how to really enjoy this process without fear, how to create and build and push in all my love without fear that the fruition and creation and reciprocity of that love won't be matched, won't be met. So it's, you know, I definitely give him a hug and let him know it's going to be okay, but I've also bless the hard road, bless the challenging journey, bless the misperceptions and the ways that I did it wrong, because, you know, now I can talk about that. And when I see somebody in the same position, you know, be like, hey man, it's going to be okay.
Yeah.
Like one way or another, it's going to be okay. And if this one fails, you'll have another one, and you'll have another one, and you'll always have a couch as long as you have a friend, as long as you have someone who you have a deep connection with and you have a family. You'll always have a couch and a bowl of noodles, man. Like it'll be okay. No matter what, it's going to be okay. And you'll have another opportunity to create, and you'll be a better person for it, because you'll be the one who learned from all the mistakes that you made before.
Yeah. No, 100%. And I feel so many people think they need to have the perfect business plan from the jump, you know, and, you know, the truth be told, like you're never going to have the perfect plan. There's just no such thing. You kind of have to trust the process. You got to fail forward. And talk to me about like the learning to adapt. I feel like every great entrepreneur that I've been around, like one of the greatest skills that I see from them is they do understand to trust the process, but they're quick to learn and adapt. They're not afraid to pivot and, you know, and try new things and quickly learn from that, study that data, make an adjustment, and then keep going down that path. How often are you are you adapting? And then how do you go about that process? Are you looking at data? Are you into the nitty gritty? Do you follow more of your intuition? Is it a mixture of both?
It's a mixture of both. I think you have to understand what your motivations are. Like, it's, why are you hesitant to switch something? Why are you hesitant to pivot? Is it because your ego is attached to the things that you said and the ideas that you said? You don't want to be wrong. You don't want to show up as wrong. You want to prove yourself as right, because if you're not right, you don't think about yourself the same way and you need to be right. And is that why you're stubborn?
Or you're afraid about what other people...
Or you're afraid about what other people... Like, what is the reason why? Or would you be folding something that you know is a win because that's what other people are telling you, and you're going to cave to the pressure that other people, against your own instinct and against your own vision, and allow somebody else's opinion to be superior to your own knowing and your own truth? Like, both are different perils. That's the, Scylla and Charybdis, those two different rocks that Odysseus had to chart his ship through, right? Those two, I think it was a whirlpool and a rock, like two dangerous places that you have to avoid if you're gonna navigate the ship of your company. You have to avoid those mental traps that you fall in, either over supporting your ego and being stubborn, or, cowing and not trusting yourself to those advisors, or to even to the mentors that you might have around you, and just saying like, oh, well, they said this, so I guess I'm just going to switch, even though I really think this is going to work if I just stuck to it.
It's difficult though, right? I mean, like, you have advisors, you have your, people in your company. I mean, I've been in that situation where it's almost like I want to include, I'll give people opinion, I'm like, share your ideas, and then all of a sudden, you're going to your advisors, or you're going to a mentor, maybe you're reading the book, you're watching the video, whatever, and it's just almost too much, and then you can almost have that over-analysis kind of paralysis from hearing your own inner voice.
Yeah.
So what are some practices that you go through to be a great CEO, to make those decisions, to be that Leonidas for your company?
Yeah, it's all about the internal work. It's all about reconciling those core drivers within myself. Like, if I need to be CEO and need to wear that title like I'm wearing a badge, and that makes me special, and I get to hand out my business card that has that, and I'm puffing my chest up because of that, like, that's the wrong kind of guy. That's the wrong person. If I need some kind of validation from what I'm doing, I have to do some more work on myself. Because really, I use the symbol of the samurai as kind of my symbol, and the word samurai actually means to serve. Like, people think of these great warriors who are conquering and whatever, but the word samurai means to serve. The word minister was actually discussing washing the feet of the congregation. It's ministering to their people. And a good leader is someone who cares deeply for all the people on his team, and is willing to be the first to take the arrows if stuff goes wrong, is willing to be the one who encourages those doing all of the different tasks that are available, and just shows up in love, whether that's a hiring, whether that's a firing, or whether, it doesn't matter. Like, no matter what, like, even our termination meetings, like, if we're going to let somebody go, I'm going to be the one who does it.
Wow.
Because I know that there's no one who's going to be able to do that with as much love, and be able to look at someone in the eye and say, you're going to be fine, man.
You are a leading example of what we need more in the world, of that love, of no judgment. And I know that you're human, because I talked to you yesterday about the fact that, like, you're still hard on yourself. So that's the way I had to open up to you about how I'm, like, still, as I'm opening up and learning so much about myself and being that leading example of love and light to the world, I'm still going through so much of the anxiety and the depression and the loneliness and the judgment and the feeling sometimes of, like, having to prove myself. And there's still so much of that ego I'm still shedding, but it's people like you, it's humans like you that inspire me to continue to do this work with Leaders Create Leaders. So on that note, man, thank you so much. And if you could give one last word of advice to our audience about what it really means to own your life, to lead, to really lead your own life, to be a leader.
Well, thank you for all that and all the acknowledgement, and it's been great to see you as well, brother, and to see you in all the avatar ways and senses of that word, to really get to know you. And I think the key thing is to recognize that we're always learning, and that we're here to learn. And a leader is someone who takes someone with them along that learning process. And that isn't having shame around your past, because you weren't going to be as good in the past as you are now. And you will have made mistakes, and you will have done things that right now you wouldn't do. But relieve yourself of the shame and guilt of anything that may have transpired in the past. And then remove yourself from the expectation of what you could be or should be. Because, yeah, I am capable of some amazing states of consciousness and love, but I'm also capable of petty, tyrannical little jealousies and exaggerations of fears and all of these things too. And if I'm guilty and afraid of all of these things, then I'm not going to be present either. So being present with yourself, relieving yourself of the guilt of the past, relieving yourself of the expectations of the future, and just bringing people along and saying, come on with me, let's figure this all out together. You know, we've all made mistakes, we're all gonna fall in these traps, but let's see if we can all just get a little bit better. And I think that's what, to me, defines a leader.
I love it. And that's a wrap. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this whole docuseries, season 5. I'm my boy Aubrey Marcus. This episode completely opened my mind, and I hope it opened up yours as well. Comment below, let me know what you think of this episode, and ultimately about this whole docuseries of Onnit's CEO, the one and only Aubrey Marcus. Thank you guys for watching, and until we meet up with our next leader, make sure to share this with your friends. Make sure to subscribe, hit that bell so that you're ready for our next leader in season 5. It's your boy GA. Leaders create leaders. Peace.